And with Gary McPherson after our 2-1 defeat against Salisbury, Gavin, you said a week or two ago that you thought this would be the most challenging period of the season, and so sadly it's proving at the moment.
Challenging for lots of ways at the moment. Challenging for the personnel we've got missing, of course. Challenging for the goals that we are shipping. And and challenging for the sometimes the lack of quality in respect when we get in good areas of the pitch, which we did umpteen times today, especially in the second half, and don't make it count. There's challenges, that's for sure at the moment.
It's becoming a bit of a familiar story, a broken record, whatever cliche you want to use. What do you put the current slump down to?
I think first of all, to concede the goals that we have tonight is unforgivable. The first one is unforgivable from the players' point of view. The one thing that I have to be careful of is looking like I'm throwing the players under the bus, which I'm not. It's just an unforgivable goal. The fact of the matter is, whatever way or shape you look at it, it stops with me, and that's the truth. So the only way I've known how in as a manager is to get back on and work hard to try and do it. There are some things you legislate for, and there are some things you can't. So that's where I am. But if you're conceding the types of goals that we are, you're going to struggle to win football matches, and that's the truth. And there doesn't seem to be a theme to them. There just seems to be a switch off to them, players switching off in certain areas. So I'll put them together. I'll have to look at it.
At the other end of the pitch, is it fair to say that we didn't test the keeper enough? And if you agree with that, was that down to the personnel who we didn't have tonight through injuries for various reasons, or was it down to a lack of quality and service on the pitch, or a bit of both?
Well, I think if you had your forward line out there, which obviously we didn't, I think even though if there's a lack of quality from wide areas or from other areas, it doesn't matter who's on the pitch. They're not going to score because they're not going to get the service. It doesn't help having the personnel missing that we are. But that to say, I thought we were poor when we got in good areas of the pitch, stretched them, but couldn't capitalise on those areas and let them off the hook basically.
At the moment, Gavin, whatever could go wrong seems to go wrong. You were dealt another fairly cruel card when Cian Dillon got called up for the Irish. Again, another blow. Suspensions and injuries and call-ups are bad at the best of times, but when you're not winning football matches, I guess it takes an even bigger toll.
It didn't. Well, we knew he was on the. To be fair, we knew he was on the reserve list, and he was warned last night and was available, and then all of a sudden in the evening he got a phone call. So that was a blow. That was the blow, probably the last blow of many in that respect. So we just have to get on with it. We can't odds it. I've got what I've got at the moment, and in truth, I was confident about this team being able to go out and beat Salisbury. And in some respects, if they'd done things differently, they probably might have. Let's be honest about it.
They've opened a 6-point gap now ahead of us. Eastbourne and Chippenham, I think, drew 2-2 tonight, but that puts us further into the mire. Tonight's result here. How are you going to resolve that in terms of the personnel you've got at your disposal at the moment?
Well, listen. We know how difficult at this football club it is to bring players in. We're not on many of the clubs at the level. We mentioned Eastbourne in there, sitting below us, I believe, and full time with huge resources. So it doesn't guarantee you it, but personnel is sparse. We've got a lot of the academy here tonight, and it's hard work. listen, the 6-point gap to Salisbury, look, no disrespect, I think, we would be confident about clawing that back over the season. And that's no disrespect to them at all. But tonight we've come up short, so we've got work to do in that respect. And if I can bring players in, I'll bring them in if that's what I think's needed, because we are absolutely running on the bare bones and have been for a while.
Just a couple more, please, Gavin. When you're not at your best, you need a bit of luck, and we didn't get it with the penalty, which I think most people thought was a stonewall penalty.
Listen, I've got to be careful talking about the officials, but
Yeah.
it looks an absolute penalty to me. Kicks the back of his heel, and Lino's 10 yards away. The ref's not in a bad position, but listen, we can't expect goal service, really. Let's be honest.
We have a new goalkeeper. Did pretty well on his debut. What can you tell the fans about why you brought him in and what you're expecting from him?
Yeah, it's a difficult one for me, because Tom is at Reading, very, very well thought of at Reading. Has been a bit of a loan at Woking this year. But in respect of Reece and for respect of Reece, really, I just felt that there was some individual goals that were going in that maybe could have kept out of the net. I don't think Tom tonight could have done anything with what happened. And I had a good conversation with Reece, a really adult conversation with Reece today, and just felt it was probably time for a change in respect between the sticks. It's a heavy heart because he's been with us, he's got promoted with us, and done a sterling job. But I just felt that it was time for a change because we were shipping goals too easy. Unfortunately, I'm still talking about that, but not necessarily from the keeper's point of view. I think defensively we've got to look at ourselves tonight.
I think it's a 3-month loan, if I'm not mistaken. Would you expect Reece to stay with the football club during that period?
So Reece, I've had a good conversation today to get some football, rediscover a little bit of confidence, because I think that's lacking at the moment, in truth. And we love him. We love Reece. He's been with me for on and off for a while. So I think the idea is for him to get some confidence and rebuild himself a little bit, and and hopefully we'll see him in an Enfield shirt again.
And just 2 more, Gary, please. On the positive front, if you can take any positives from the game, I think we all thought Ollie Davis put in a good shift, great shift, in fact, tonight. And Eli showed what he could do when he came on. Would you say they were 2 positives from the game?
Listen, Eli's coming out of the academy. You're asking a very, very young lad with limited experience to go on the pitch. And I have to say, he gave us something tonight. He gave us something. There were players out there with far more experience, far more pedigree at the level and levels above, who didn't offer us anything. So, in respect of Eli, he the plaudits. He's got to take some plaudits. To expect a young lad like that to be our saviour, he's probably pushing it a little bit too much. He's still learning, but he's done himself no harm today. I thought Ollie Davis was bright, gave us some good moments in the game, but unfortunately we weren't able to capitalise on it.
The fans at one point, sorry Gavin, just I beg your pardon, two more actually. The fans at one point were screaming for a couple of substitutions to be made earlier than they were made. Did you hear that, and what did you make of it?
I think you've got to understand the group at the moment. As I say, Eli coming on, and we made that substitution. Ollie Knight was not in the side tonight because of a discipline issue. Okay, I'll leave it like that. It's in house at the moment. And yeah, I was aware of it, but Mickey's not quite fit, is the truth. Nor is Jay Lambert. Ethan Can, we talk about academy lads here. Didn't really need to put him on the pitch. Didn't feel we need to put Abad on the pitch. So yeah, Ollie, look, I accept that, but from that point of view, that's why people weren't in the starting lineup. From Ollie's point of view, listen, it's not something I'm going to open up. We'll deal with it in house, but that's how it is.
And just very lastly, Gavin, the mother of all FA Trophy ties. On Saturday, any positives in terms of potential players coming back, we certainly need a bit of luck at the moment with injuries. I mean, how do you look at that? I know you've just come off, a very damaging defeat here tonight, but how do you look ahead to Harbour, if you possibly can, in terms of personnel and how tough that might be up there?
From the point of view of personnel, let's get it out there. There'll be 2 suspended from that team tonight.
Yeah.
And I don't expect really to be having any players back from who are on the sidelines. Mickey is not quite there. We had to preserve him a little bit tonight. Could have thrown him on the pitch and maybe lost him for Saturday. We haven't got Rue, so maybe we thought about it at one stage, but that's where we are with that. The 2 lads will still be on international duty. The injuries are the injuries. The 2 suspensions are the 2 suspensions. So I can't dress it up any other way than we are. When we're running on empty tonight, we're broken down. We're running on fumes for Saturday. So, but listen. This team's good enough, right? I can put a good enough team out there on Saturday to go and do the business. So I'm not going to sit here and shy away from it. We are what we are, and whatever team I put out there, I expect them to do better than they did tonight, particularly in respect of our defensive duties and our quality. Right, that's the long and short of it. It's a shame that this has all fallen. When we played Dover and now Salisbury, teams that we, no disrespect, would probably fancy our chances playing. But that's where we are, and I can't change that. It's not easy to bring personnel in, that's for sure. So I'll leave it like that. So we'll potentially go with what we've got. If I can bring something in, then I'll bring something in. It's one of those. I have to work with the chairman on this. I have to work with the boundaries of the football club, and that sometimes is not as straightforward as people might think.
Thank you, Gavin. See you on Saturday.
Cheers.